I've got some airing of grievances. You've been neglecting me this week.
I have not neglected you. First of all, I have a disclaimer that my voice does not sound like it normally does because I've been sick.
Not this week.
I mean, it's still been lingering. I have a cough that hits me about 11 p.m. at night.
Do you need to go to the doctor?
It keeps me up and it's loud. I don't know how many times I've had to change my pants. I was going to try to keep, I'm being honest, I was going to try to keep track of the number of times that I've had to get out of bed or just in the middle of the day be like, well, I have to go change my pants.
Because you peed?
Because I coughed so hard that I peed. But it's not enough that it's like significantly running down my leg, but it's enough to go, I can't sit in that.
Why don't you get a pad or something?
I did do that the other night. I was like, this is out of control. But it's just enough to it just lingers. And so,
nagging.
I mean, I've been drinking a lot of water to try to compensate and wet my whistle. But man, it's rough. So I might have to hack in the middle of this episode.
We'll edit that. We will edit that out if that happens. Welcome to the podcast.
Here we are. We're just getting right to it.
I have a medical issue.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm asking for advice.
Okay. I'm the person you should talk to about this. I am a medical professional.
Okay. We were in Colorado for a couple weeks ago, and I had a show. And so I'm manning the booth. I'm sitting in a stool. Yes, it was a magic show. No.
Sallie's a magician. If you're new here, she does a really good magic act.
I can make my clothes disappear now. I was sitting on the stool and had my feet kind of tucked under, and I was wearing sandals, and I noticed that my big toes were kind of going numb from however I was sitting. So we got up and we moved and we were unpacking, and my toes were still numb, and we got back to the RV. Hours later, my big toes were still numb. I went to bed.
How long were you sitting like this?
I woke up not long enough for my toes to be numb for like 12 hours. And I was starting to get concerned because, normally if something is numb and you move around, like it comes back.
Wakes up.
Mm-hmm. And Andrew's like, it's just because you were on your feet all day in my shoes. And I don't know now. I'm like, is it my imagination? They don't feel numb, but they feel just my big toes, maybe a little bit numb.
Have you ever been aware of your toes before? Is it an awareness now that you're like, hey, let me think about my toes? These feel weird.
They've never been numb like that before. And I don't know if it was the altitude or what, but they were numb.
The altitude didn't bother me, but my toes sure were tingling.
It was, yeah. So anyway, they feel fine now. And I'm also hyper aware. I'm like, are they still a little bit numb? Of course, I Googled it, and it's like, you've got permanent nerve damage.
Wow. You have to get your toes removed immediately. Schedule it for next week.
Well, I was checking, so when I woke up, so this is what it felt like. It feels like if you took a rubber band and put it on your finger, and then you take it off, and it just kind of feels, that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like there was a rubber band around my toes. And so I kept checking them to see, like, are they blue? Are they not getting oxygen? And they're fine.
That would bother, I feel like I would be fixated on it. I mean, even with all my illness that hit me last week, my left ear was plugged up for over 5 days. And we're talking it sounded like I was in an airplane. Like it was just a steady, and if I would try to plug my nose and blow and release the pressure, it would only plug it even more than I couldn't hear anything. And I would be like, did I bust my eardrum? Am I deaf now in that ear? Oh my God. Micah was like, it'll release. I'm like, but it's so annoying when you have one thing and then you know it. And so all day I'd just be like, that's fine.
You don't realize how good normal is until...
You can't take those toes for granted.
I cannot take those toes for granted. Not that I have any understanding of what someone with a chronic illness feels like. I'm not saying that.
Guys, it's just really hard.
It's been really hard.
Toes.
My toes were numb. Anyway, so I don't know if that's a thing, but my toes were numb for an extended period of time.
I'll get a file going and send you what I find.
You can do some research.
Yeah, I'll get things together. Last night, Micah and I went to the movies. I have not been to a movie. It's been over a year since I've been.
We went to see Black Widow that one time.
That's the last movie that I saw.
And wasn't that a great picture?
I just don't even remember it, you know? So, yeah.
Nobody does.
So, we decided we were going to go see the movie Elvis. Okay. I love Elvis.
I know this about you.
As a child, my room was decorated in Elvis. I don't even know why I'm trying to think of how old I was. I feel like I was like 9 when the obsession began. I don't know why, but I would listen to his music in my room.
You're not the only young lady who has been stricken by
those wiggling
hips.
So I didn't even know that there was an Elvis movie. I think because we stream everything now.
Yeah.
I don't know what movies are coming out anymore. And so Micah was like, well, let's go see the Elvis movie. You love Elvis. I was like, I didn't even know it was. I heard that it was out. Obviously, you had talked about going to it. But I was like, I don't even know who's in this movie. I know nothing about it. But I was like, yeah, let's just go. I love going to the movies because I love to get a Coke Icy. I love to get some peanut M&Ms and a big O popcorn. Okay?
A big O popcorn.
A big O popcorn. I don't care if I'm really full, if I had dinner and dessert.
Oh, there's
I'm still
room.
Getting popcorn.
Yeah, there's room.
Well, let me tell you something. AMC wants to charge you $50 to get popcorn. They didn't have any M&Ms.
What?
I think they've removed them from the store because they didn't even have like a labeled section of M&Ms. They're just gone. So I was like, well, the only other chocolate option was Butterfinger Bites. Not really my go-to, but I thought I've got to have chocolate. I've got to have sweet with my salty. So we get that, and I get a big icy because I want a big Coke Icy. That just hits the spot. I mean, I think about Coke Icies frequently. So we go to the first machine, and it's broken.
Yeah.
So it's okay. There's a second one. So the second one, we turn it on, and popcorn comes out of it.
Out of the icy machine?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's not, so that happens. And then also like, it's not icy. It's
popped popcorn?
Popped popcorn.
Came out of the icy machine?
Icy machine. You're hearing me correctly. Yeah. What? What's funny is I hadn't noticed it at first, and I had filled it up, and I was like, Micah, this isn't even icy. Like, it's just like fizzing out everywhere, and it's obviously not. That machine should have had the little red light on too. And so I was standing to the side, and there was a mom and her teenage daughter by me, and the mom goes, "Don't drink that." And I was like, what? She was like, there's popcorn coming out of it. It's disgusting. Don't drink it. And the daughter's like, this is so gross. And it was this whole moment at the icy machine. And I was like, oh, God. Well, Micah goes, we're getting a refund.
Yeah. So yeah, because it's like $10 for an icy.
The employees could not care less about anything in that place.
Yeah.
I mean, what has happened to customer service? And so he goes over and he's like, we need a refund. Your icy machines are broken and there's popcorn coming out of them. And she just like throws 2 large cups over the counter and she goes, a large drink's the same price. Here you go. Like, doesn't care at all. And so we're like, well, whatever. So now not only do I not get my peanut M&Ms with my popcorn, but now I don't get my Coke Icy. So this is just not going well after not being in the theaters for over a year.
A sour taste in your mouth.
So we go to the movie. We go sit in the theater, and okay, you saw the movie Elvis. Mm-hmm. Okay, Micah tells me ahead of time, "Hey, Tom Hanks is in this." Okay, the movie starts, and I'm confused at what I'm watching because I'm thinking in my head, I was preparing myself for. Did you ever see Walk the Line?
Yeah.
Great movie, in my opinion. I don't know.
There were some awards won.
Well, rightfully so. That was a great movie. They did a great job. So I'm expecting a movie like that to where it's going to be just this like normal movie following the life of Elvis. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a little confused at first, but then Tom Hanks speaks. And his accent.
If you want to get the snow, you
the show business is the snow business.
The snow business.
Okay. And in my head, I'm like, this must be how that guy in real life talks.
Surely he didn't just create this accent.
Did you look up?
No, I didn't.
I did. I looked at, so, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Tom Hanks sucked in that movie. I mean, he did a horrible job. And I'm upset through most of the movie because I'm like, you're killing the guy who played Elvis did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
I was impressed. As an Elvis enthusiast, I think he did a great job.
He looked like Elvis and he sang. And
when he first came on the screen, I was a little nervous because I was like, I feel like they're about to ruin this whole movie. Like, I just feel like this is about to suck. And then as it actually got into being just a normal movie, I was like, okay, this is fine. But so we get out of the movie, and like throughout the whole movie, Micah just keeps leaning over and saying things in that accent that Tom Hanks does. And he's like, I can't take him seriously. I was like, I can't either. So we get out, and I told Micah, I said, I've got to look up a video of this guy talking, because I have so many questions. The guy sounds nothing, hardly has even a Southern accent, okay? The guy just kind of sounds like a normal man. And so I have so many questions for Tom Hanks, for the director of this film, for everyone on set, if there was an accent coach or whatever the formal name is.
Why did you choose this?
It's so bad. Like, when you look up a video of who the man, the Colonel, whatever his name was, Parker, there is not even a hint of an accent. And so it just really, Tom Hanks he really sucked it up.
Maybe it was the fat suit he was in. It affected his speech in his brain.
It was so bad. But then I came out, and I felt so bad for Elvis.
I know.
I thought you were taken advantage of. And there were a lot of debates going on in the lobby after we left the film.
There?
Yeah, there was another group. I was waiting because Micah went in the bathroom, and so all of these people were out in the lobby talking about it. Mm-hmm. And this one group was like debating everything that happened. And a guy was like, well, that's what you get when you live your life based around your ego and as a performer. And I thought, I feel like you're being a little harsh. That is the king of rock and roll that we were just in there. You should pay your respects. But I thought the movie was good, but I was very disappointed and let down. As a Tom Hanks fan, I just need him to know I was let down.
Here's what I think about Elvis, the person, not the movie.
Okay.
How could you experience that level of adoration? Like women throwing their panties at you as a 19, 20-year-old kid, and expect to have any sort of normal moral life. I'm like, how you can't. That's why you see so many. I was thinking about this today, actually, because you told me you'd seen Elvis. I think that most people in Hollywood, probably, if we could like peek into their private lives, have weird sexual fetishes. Because how could you not, when you have that level of fame and everything just has to keep getting ramped up and more ramped up to experience any sort of enjoyment, because
otherwise you're bored.
Which is why you get you hear these scandals. I'm sure I know there are so many more that we don't hear about. So with Elvis, I'd think, how did he even have a chance? Because when you're not humans aren't supposed to be worshipped like that.
Well, that's what I was sitting back and thinking, is I was like, it's so funny, because I also think if we're gonna make this there's a point to any of this conversation.
Oh, I got a point.
I got a point, Mike. No, I was thinking about it, which I've always said to Micah. I think fame now in our day and age, it's not just fame or Hollywood, it's influencers or all these people who we're constantly like obsessed with or have a peek into their lives or anything. I'm like, it's so funny that we're like, okay, let's take Elvis, for example. You sing so good. Oh my God, take my panties.
I know.
I have to give something to you, because wow, that is not how it sounds when I'm in the shower.
Because you can sing,
or you can,
and you're good looking.
Wiggle your hips. Well, yeah, obviously he was great.
Yeah,
he was good looking, mine. But it is so funny. Even now, I always tell Micah that I think it's so funny, like with actors, that we're like, you do such a good job pretending. You're like so good at pretending. I really thought that was real. I think I'm going to follow you everywhere you go.
I'm going to listen to every political opinion you give. Yes, because you're good at playing
my life.
You're good at playing pretend.
How do you care for your kids? I should do the same. It's like, it's so funny that we're just sponges to everything that we're taking in, speaking as a normal human.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating about just humans in general, that we're all there is somebody that we're like a little bit like, ooh, about, but then when you break it down, you're like, why do I care? Why am I so fascinated with them?
And because instinctually we're all looking for something to worship.
Yeah.
I think if people are like, well, I'm agnostic or atheist, it's like, cool, you still worship something.
Oh, absolutely. It's in our DNA design. You cannot get away from it.
Yeah. It is interesting. I was thinking about, who was I was thinking about someone the other day if I were to meet them, like a normal, like an influencer, someone that I follow. I know. It was Nathan Finocchio. He has an Instagram. Has a pastor anyway, or not a pastor, but a preacher. And my nephew was hanging out with him because he came by, and my nephew sent me a picture, and I was like, I want to meet him. And then I realized, like, I was getting all, what would I say when I meet him? Like, Sallie, he is a normal person,
right?
Like, be cool,
right. Yeah. He studies the Bible.
Cool. He studies the Bible for a living.
And travels.
Yeah, be cool. But and then I was like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
And it was kind of gross and weird and like, why am I being all...
I think back to... I always have said if I saw someone famous in person, like, I don't really think it would affect me. Like, I think I'd be like, oh, that's crazy. That's so-and-so. But then I was in Malibu eating at Malibu Farms, which if you want to see someone famous in California... It's likely that you're going to see someone there.
I was there and I saw nobody famous.
You got to go again. But Chris Pratt eats there with his wife often. He posted on the Instagram. That's someone I'd like to meet.
Well, I do like Chris Pratt.
Which just turns into celebrities that we're obsessed with. We're like, I do love them.
I do like Chris Pratt.
I do like some Chris Pratt. Anyways, I was with a friend and we were eating and... across the way, and it was funny because her and I had just been in conversation about it'd be so crazy to see someone famous. I don't think I'd freak out, and not a half a second later I look over her shoulder and there is, I can't even pronounce his name correctly, Penn Bagley.
I don't know who that is.
Okay,
is he from some girly show?
He's from You.
Never saw it.
He's from Gossip Girl.
Never saw it.
He's actually in a lot of stuff. There was something else the other day I saw him in. I was like, I didn't realize he was in that. But, I mean, he's well known. Like, you wouldn't recognize his face even if you saw him in public.
Maybe.
I'm going to pull it up while I'm talking, and I'm going to show you, and you're going to, okay, yeah, I do know him.
So did you freak out?
Anyway, so I'm looking over her shoulder, and I'm like, oh, my God, Jennifer.
Yeah.
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 So I'd see him with a girl, and I'm like, oh, my God, he's in Gossip Girl. Oh my God. And and she starts laughing. She's like, are you freaking out right now? I'm like, am I going to go up to him? Should I go up to him? Oh my God, I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. And immediately like became this like, like getting red and splotchy and like nervous. And there was a table next to us that was a mom and a daughter. Mm-hmm. And they obviously knew who he was and were thinking the same thing because they were making eye contact with me. And they were like, like just mouthing like, oh, and freaking out. And I was like, yeah, we're all on the same page and we're all freaking out. And I'm embarrassed to reveal that I did go up to him.
Right then?
No, on our way out.
Okay.
And which the other funny side of it is that the girl he was with ended up being, for anybody who watched the show You, she was in season 2. She was the main star like of the show with him, other main role. And she
didn't recognize her.
She had been in another show that I had watched. And I didn't even recognize her. Totally snuffed her like, you're nobody. You're like me, probably. You're not important.
Sorry, and you are.
Could you take a photo for us? Actually, ma'am, I don't even know who you are. And then later, whenever we were watching the show, I looked at Micah. I was like, oh my God, that was the girl with him. He's like, you met her and you didn't even know? He's like, that's probably why they were like, what do you don't even know?
I bet you men recognize her and women recognize the guy.
Either way.
I would bet.
I fell victim to the spell. And I don't know.
Was he cool about it?
So I did the class. Well, the lady I was with, she was like, do you want to get a picture? And he was like, no pictures, please. And I was like, well, that's kind of boring. Because what's the point of how do I tell all of my followers on Instagram besides the hidden pictures I've taken of you from my table and shared on my Instagram stories pin? And he said, I won't take a picture, but I will shake your hand.
Oh, what an honor. Lucky you.
Well, consider me blessed, sir. And
I
so
will
I awkwardly, I was like, okay. He's like, what was your name? And I said, Holly. He's like, nice to meet you, Holly. And I thought, was this supposed to change my life? So I was just like, well, that was really weird.
How conceited do you have to be?
I know.
If someone wants to meet you, you won't grant them a photo. I will give you
a handshake.
5 seconds of uninterrupted eye contact.
Yeah, that was kind of how it was. Like, I'll look you in the eye and I'll shake your hand.
Wow.
I thought, I'm not worthy, Pan.
Wow.
And so after that, I was like, he's not even that big of an actor.
I think it would be really annoying to have people coming up to you all the time.
I do. I'm always torn about this.
But also, isn't that kind of what they want?
Well, it was like, would you have a job if, like, we the people didn't watch your things?
Here's my thought on that. Someone who genuinely loves acting, like does it for the love of the theater.
For the love of it.
Someone like Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah. Who is an amazing actor, obviously loves it. Nobody knows jack about him because he has kept himself and his family like extremely private. I view him and go, okay, here's someone who loves acting who's not really in it for
just the fame. And publicity.
And the publicity. Because he has chosen this kind of life. But other people, I'm like, this is about the fame and the notoriety for you and what you can get. And
I think to some level,
the fans adoring you.
It's funny, just as everyday life people, to sit back and be like, oh, the things that these people do, they're so crazy. The things that they'll do they just did that to get in a magazine or to do this or to do this. But then to step back and go, almost on a daily basis, all of us are on social media posting things or being like, I'm going to try to do this. Maybe this will get me seen. Maybe this will get me noticed. Maybe this will. So it's like going back to, again, I feel like in all of us, there is this desire to not only like be in awe of other people and like worship something, but
to be worshipped.
Return, to be worshipped, to be loved, to be admired, to just be recognized for this thing that I do. And it's like, oh, I hate being aware of it. And it's like, I'm not going to go and say that it's completely wrong because I do think it's something in our design that in the right context of, I hate to use the word community, but I'm saying like I don't think it's a bad thing to be like, hey, you're really great at this and be like, oh, thank you. That makes me, because I think there's, like I said, there's something in our design for that. But to make a life out of constantly just wanting everyone else's approval and love and this pedestal that it's like, what is that getting me? Where are we going with that?
I think that we want to worship and be worshipped. I mean, and that's what social media is. The whole thing is like, look at what I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, and especially, not to sound old, but nowadays, that's what it is. Whereas I remember when Instagram first came out and how you were genuinely just posting, anything and everything, like post a picture of my computer, sitting at my computer, and people like, that's awesome, I love that for you. Like, it was so, there was no point.
But then you see like, oh, well, that got way more likes. And so, but I think now, like, if you remove the likes, I don't know that it could go back to being
I don't think we can ever go back.
No, I think we're too far gone.
Yeah.
We were watching Singing in the Rain. Have you seen that movie?
I have not.
Anyway, Dot, we watched it in Colorado, and Dot loves it.
Oh.
And there's a part at the end of the movie where Lena Lamar, something like that.
I can't even help you because I don't know.
Lena. She's getting up and giving a speech, and she's talking about, and this is in the 1920s. This is when the movie set is. And she was talking about, we love making pictures to bring some joy to your humdrum little lives. And Andrew goes, isn't that funny? That's what they still think. The stance of influencers in Hollywood is just like, your life is really simple and it sucks. And the only enjoyment that you are going to get in your life is if we create something for you to watch, if we entertain you. If I give you a handshake and address you by your first name, now your life is made better by me. And I'm just like, I think that's why the movies, aside from, they shut everything down, but why a lot of movies have been tanking is because people are picking up on, you think we're all idiots.
Yeah. Well, also,
you think
some of the
we're
storylines
fools.
just aren't good. I don't want to follow. Every single preview that we saw, I looked at Micah, I said, I can't express how much I don't want to see that movie. I don't want to watch that.
They're not making.
It's just so far out there.
I think because they're making movies that the rest of the movie people are gonna like, and not what actual normal people are gonna like. Which is why did you see Top Gun?
No, I don't like Tom Cruise.
It was great. It was super fun. I got really dizzy because it was a lot of flying around.
Oh, yeah,
but it was really fun, and it killed. I'm like, yeah, because there was no other. It was just a mission, and it was just good old America going into.
Oh my God, it was good old America.
Good old America going in to steal some bomb. I don't even know.
Good old America.
I don't even know what they were taking, but it was just a mission. Like there was no. Right. That was it.
Yeah.
No ulterior things, and then you start adding other stuff in, and I don't know. We get conflated, big heads easily. Oh, yeah. It takes no effort for us to get self-obsessed.
Right. Well, and I was talking our lives revolve around ourselves.
Yeah.
And with the light of social media, I mean, I think back on even just our last episode, kind of talking about how that complicates motherhood or even like within marriage, because you're constantly consuming other information from people, which it's an interesting cycle to like break down, because if you think of, if I'm someone who's creating all the videos, I'm neglecting something in order to prioritize these videos that I have to make to influence you, to tell you about how you're not prioritizing your time correctly and how you should probably, like, you're probably going to feel bad about how your home looks or how I don't know. It's just this giant circle that it's just like consumer, being consumed by the consumer. Like, it's just, it never ends. And it's not to the extent that I feel like I step back and I'm like, so I should shut it all down. I want to get off social media. I don't want to be a part of anything. Because it's like, it's not as extreme as that. Because I also think if you have boundaries up with the way that you consume things, it doesn't have to just be, I don't know. I was just reading a book and it was talking about technology. It's not that technology is an issue. It's how we're consuming it and the lack of boundaries and priorities that we put up in our lives that makes it the issue. And which, I mean, I agree with, because I'm like, yeah, it's not that just the fact that Instagram exists is the downfall of us all. I'm like, ultimately, it would be nothing without the people that are on it. So it comes back to like, this is a people problem. This is an us problem.
People suck.
We suck. We got to shut it down.
Turn
it off.
Andrew was watching some YouTube compilation yesterday. It was like a Reddit question, advice that you wish you learned younger or something. And one of these was basically to not listen to what people think. I have a small group of people and I only, I don't care about anyone else's feedback. Nobody can tell me what to do. And we were just like, good Lord, nobody can tell you.
Not a soul.
Not a single soul. Only those that I give you permission. And so when we were going to bed, he said, after we've been married for 10 years, then you can tell me one thing that you would like me to change, but that is it. You have to earn. We were joking about it. And I think that's part of the problem, is this attitude, well, nobody can tell me anything. I have to decide for myself. And there are situations where I'm like, you have to make choices. Like your priorities have to be your priorities.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you're choosing whether you're going to
However,
do something.
I think to just go, nobody can tell me what to do. I'm like, I have
nobody can tell me what to do, but please normalize what I'm doing.
Exactly. But I need you to be okay with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I don't care what you have to say. Unless you disagree with what I'm doing, then I hate you.
Yeah.
Oh, like, yeah. Then why do you need me?
Right.
Yeah. It's so funny. And social media exacerbates that. So exacerbates.
What a word. We should have a word of the week that you
exacerbate. You've never heard exacerbate?
No, I've heard it, but you don't. Not everyone says exacerbates.
I said it's exacerbate. You want me to spell it?
No.
Okay. Back to Elvis. I did feel really bad for him.
Oh, it made me, I was genuinely sad.
I think he had good intentions. He grew up in a poor family.
His motives weren't ill.
No, he wanted to make money, and then you had someone.
He wanted to bring his family out of poverty.
Yeah.
And that they would never go back to
and
it.
then, but you see all the people who kind of leech onto that.
Yeah.
And then now he's their meal ticket.
Right.
And then also just the drug culture. This happened like Judy Garland too. They give you uppers, they give you downers. You can't sleep, so they knock you out. Then you have to be up, and it's just like almost like he was a slave for those people.
It made. I mean, he was their
like
puppet.
Yes,
well, and especially I had never. Now listen, I love Elvis. Okay, I've known about him. I never knew the story of this man who was like his manager.
Yeah.
And like the backstory of it, which I mean, then at the end you learn that it came out like a few years after he died.
Yeah.
Like it was like it wasn't a thing that everyone knew about. And I just thought, I don't know, it was just like fascinating to pull back a curtain and go like, man, there's always so much more. But he still put on shows. People were still going to see him and thinking that they were getting the best.
Did they show in that movie his last performance? He said he can barely walk.
He can barely walk, but dang, he sang.
He could sing.
It was one of his best performances.
He's just like this, like a pig.
Well, yeah, he's a shell of a man.
He was, but it was so sad, and just he looked horrible. 42, he looked ancient.
It's just sad. I think it also just. Which I'm sure there's someone listening going, are they just really breaking down Elvis's life right now?
Let me tell you something about the king now.
There's so long live the king. No, but I think, first of all, I think you should see the movie. Second of all, it's going to take some time for you to like it. Because I just did not like the way that it was shot. It was stressing me out for a really long time because it kept changing scenes. Like in less than, I told Micah, I was trying to count how long a scene was, and I couldn't even make it to 2 because it would change.
This is like Coco Melon.
I was thinking, man, those Instagram moms would love to tear apart this movie because
the colors are wrong.
The
scenes are too quick.
And they played it wasn't Cardi B.
It was like Nicki Minaj or something.
I was upset.
I hated
that
too. It did. I'm like, if we're gonna make a time period movie, let's make a time period movie.
Which is why I think once it actually got into the storyline of the movie, I was like, okay, now we can rest and just watch a film, which is what I came here for. No, all that aside, just going. It's crazy to see that even back in the day, that. It was still this concept of as long as I put on for you and please you, you're never going to really know what's going on behind the scenes and that I'm miserable or that I'm walking like in his scenario, like in his case, when he was still in the thick of shows, but was like he wanted to leave and travel internationally, but he rigged it. His manager made it to where he had to stay in the States. And it's like he was still putting on shows that people were selling out. People were screaming and he was dancing. And then he would turn around and go off stage and he wasn't seeing his daughter or his wife. And he was drugged out, like miserable, but no one cared as long as they got a good show.
Yeah.
And it's like to relate that to nowadays and go, as long as I show up and put on and give the performance in the sense of whether it's by showing up on social media and making sure I share my hashtag this and my sweet marriage, but then my husband's really annoyed that I was making him take a picture and I tried to stage something that didn't even happen, but as long as I show up and get the applause that I need, I can turn around and go back and I'm okay. Yeah. And even though I'm not.
His problem wasn't an Instagram problem.
Right.
It's like it's a human condition problem. That's why that Instagrammer that I followed that had so like over 500,000 followers and deleted her app and is gone. She gone. And I'm like, that's it. Yeah. 4 years, all that work, all those likes, all the sponsorships, and it's gone. Or it could get deleted from you.
Right.
And you don't get to make that choice. Like that's not what you have to live with. You have to live with your family and the people that actually know you. And I think it's more important to put the time in there than it is to build this whole
Well, I think for me, it's just a reminder that this is just an aspect of life that can, like, obviously it's the time that we live in. Everyone is pretty much on it. It's not going like, we need to get rid of this altogether. But I think it's just going, hey, you don't have to really put it all in there, because it's not all of it's even really what's happening in life. So if you don't have the followers, who cares?
Yeah.
If you missed a day of posting, who cares? Your business isn't going to go under.
Yeah.
Your family's not going to crumble. Your friendships, hey, if some of them go away, maybe they need to if they're only on based on social media. But I think it just made me walk away and be like, man, most of the stuff that we're all obsessed with, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And there's freedom in that. And that's the good news right there.
Yeah. And I think if there's something that you enjoy, it's like, enjoy it, but you don't have to, I don't know,
you don't have to live for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, in the end, it's like it will kill you.
Yeah.
It will ruin you.
And you
will. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know the whole story. I thought he was just a druggie.
See, and then I was sad because I
know he's got this reputation.
I kept saying to Micah, I said, my sweet baby Elvis has been given this image that he's just a loser and a druggie who died on a toilet. Wow, what a way to end your legacy. And I'm like, really? He was sad and he needed a friend.
Yeah.
He needed a friend.
Yeah. Mm.
So go see the movie.
Wow. I don't think they need to.
I know. I think we kind of broke it down for him pretty clearly, but
Tom Hanks talked like that.
Oh, yeah. I'm still upset with it. I'm also upset, with the way that they have portrayed Buzz Lightyear. That is not Buzz Lightyear. So Micah said,
I didn't see. Is there a Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah,
it's not Tim Allen anymore.
Yeah, it's not Tim Allen, so don't watch it.
I know he got canceled.
Micah said, man, they really messed up Buzz and Woody all in one year because it was Tom Hanks in the Elvis movie. He was like, Tim Allen didn't even get a shot, and Tom Hanks really ruined it in that movie.
Tim Allen is, anyway.
Either way. Get outside.
Get some vitamin D.
Get some sunshine.
Don't do drugs. If someone offers you something, you say no. Just say no to drugs.
That's all we can
say.
That's it.
I'm going to end it there.
That's all you need to.
All right. Have a good week, you guys. Give us a 5-star review.
Give us a 10-star if you can.
Give us a 10-star. All right. Bye.